men come together to fight against haters. We hate haters. Are we recording?
Yeah, it's a recording.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Been recording the whole time.
I didn't know that, man.
In a world where one guy and one half guy talk about movies and hate.
They fight for justice.
Movieisms.
We hate haters. We will destroy them with love.
I hate you, Brad.
And I love to hate you.
As well.
Movieisms.
This is dumb.
We hate this. Movieisms. Segue. On today's episode, we're discussing
hate.
We're filled with hate today.
No.
Yeah, we are.
Actually, I hate you.
I hate doing this show.
No, you don't. We can't both take sips at the same time. I stopped to take a sip and then you took a sip. What is this, the mentalist
I was
section?
mimicking your behavior so that I could control you
I now have
later.
control of your mind, yeah. So, welcome to episode 2 of Movieisms. We won't keep track of the numbers all the time, but since it's so fresh in everybody's mind, this is the second episode. And something, I was flipping through a lot of... You want to turn the fan off? Is the fan bothering you?
No, if you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. Are you guys okay with it?
They don't care.
They said they're okay with it.
Okay.
So, first of all, I would like to say to everybody who listened to our first episode and even our teaser episode, we really appreciate it. It's cool to make something brand new from scratch, have an idea, and we basically have wanted to do a podcast like this or some sort of show like this for a while now.
Yeah.
But the pieces didn't fall into place until the last, maybe month or so prior to us doing this.
I can remember every time we've done anything online, you would go to, man, I wish we could just sit down and talk about movies. Why do we have to do this, do that, and blah, blah, blah. So finally you've got your wish.
But it does feel good to know that we had an idea, we, made something, put it together, put it out, and people actually listened. It's a good feeling. Yeah. Our other podcast is called Film Reverie, and we talked to filmmakers there. That was sort of a slower rise to the top because it's a smut. I think because it's sort of a less broad genre.
Yeah, it's
we're
very
really only
niche.
appealing to indie filmmakers. So sometimes it felt like it wasn't like that nobody was listening, but sometimes it felt like, were we ever going to get anyone was anyone actually listening? This is a little bit different because it's we feel like we got a lot more traction in our first week than I don't know, maybe I expected.
Well, we learned a lot, and you learned a lot about tagging and podcasting and stuff, and so I think in all of our other stuff, we made all of our mistakes on them. So now we can apply our knowledge to this.
Is this the pat ourselves on the back section of the podcast?
Right. This has nothing to do with
movies. This has nothing to do with movies. But it started off as a thanks to the people that were listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and thanks for continuing to listen, those of you who do.
And if you want to say you're welcome, email us at
movieisms@gmail.com. Thank you.
By the way, I want to say this. I want to do a thing where people can record questions and so that we can play them during the show. We'll add that in later.
Yeah, you mean like a Google, like a Google Voice? Or
yeah,
like
there's some apps and stuff where they could leave us messages, something like that.
Yeah.
We'll integrate that in
Okay.
soon.
Yeah.
We want to talk about movies, and we want to eventually interact with the audience. We want to hear what you say. If you don't agree with us, whatever, if we're idiots, tell us why.
Ultimately, I've known Brad since '94. So what's that? 24 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And it seems longer than that, though, Brad.
It feels longer.
Yeah. But so what we're saying is, he and I have had these conversations before. I know what he's going to say 99% of the time, and he knows what I'm going to say 99% of the time. Mostly because we've already had these conversations. We just now got the bright idea to start recording them. But the fun part for us is talking to other people. We love it when you comment on our Facebook page or hit us up on Twitter or something like that.
Like when I posted a
breaking
2-year-old...
news. Breaking news, Brad.
James Bond is dead. Roger Moore
died 2 years ago. Brad pops in. Oh no, he was my favorite, but he's like 2 years behind schedule.
Hey, I'm proud of that post because it got 2 people to interact with the post.
But that's not why we want. We don't want to attract that kind of attention. These guys at Movieisms are fucking idiots. When asked, Brad said, "Oh yeah, I must have forgot that." But he was so distraught over Roger Moore's death that he had also forgotten that it ever happened in the first place.
Yeah. I was excited.
I give you the keys to the castle. I give you the password, and then there you go. The first thing you do.
Okay, I blame the person that posted it in the first place. Why did they post it?
You can't believe anything you see on Facebook. It's all
By
fake
the way,
news.
you can't. I'm glad to see. By the way, I posted a thing. There's something about pink tuna. Did you see that? About people, a couple of workers
Soylent Green is
killed some people.
Yeah.
So I made a Soylent Green joke, and then like 2 people came on and was like, fact checked, false story. And I was like, yeah, no, I just wanted to make a joke. I won't do that again.
By the way, did you hear Roger Moore is dead?
By the way, Roger Moore is dead. He died again.
So anyway, again, thank you. Hit us up on Twitter. We love hearing from people. It's great. It's awesome. And we really appreciate people listening. Anyway, what we wanted to talk about this week is when scrolling through the other other movie-themed podcasts, there's obviously a lot of movie review podcasts. And in those podcasts...
Hold on.
A lot of them... And
Hold on.
Yeah.
I gotta take this away from the table when it touches it.
Yeah, okay. I won't name any of them by name, but I did pick up a very common theme, I guess you could say, in the internet. It's like every time I follow people on Facebook or Twitter, and people seem to think that they've replaced critique and criticism with hate. Criticism has turned into, oh, I hate this, and that somehow makes people sound. People somehow think that makes them sound smart or intelligent. And I'm looking around, and first of all, I'm a terrible movie critic because I want to like the movie no matter how bad it is. I just want people to make a better decision. So I'm not saying it's wrong to hate a movie. Because plenty of movies come out, plenty of shitty movies come out every year, and it's okay to not like a movie. I just mean, why do we market the hate? It's like, I hate this movie, and that's like, that's your critique.
Well, okay, so there's 2 things I'm hearing there. One thing is, what you don't like, what I'm hearing, is that if you're going to express a hate or a dislike for something, you need to back it up with a reason. and put some effort into it or some thought. Don't just start kind of like... I think these trolls are think that they're insult comics or something, and so they just try and find jokes, and that's their like persona, is to find things to make fun of. But then then you just end up being a a-hole.
You ever heard that saying where everybody thinks they're funny and that they have good taste?
Yeah.
But how could it possibly be that everybody is funny and they have good taste? I think that somehow it's been morphed into, if I have strong opinions about something, people will think I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I know somebody on social media somewhere, and their whole thing is, well, I don't like this kind of movie, that kind of movie. I don't like it this. I don't like it when there's this kind of a lead. I don't like that. I don't really watch comedies. I don't like... And the thing is that it's like something they brag about. So they really only like one thing. Why would I listen to your opinion? I already know you hate everything. And if it's not the one exact, perfectly framed kind of movie that you like, which, by the way, after 20 or something years of watching that same movie over and over again, that's got to be boring.
Yeah.
Why would I pay attention to you? I want to know, not do you hate a movie, I want to know why you hate a movie, because that's when I can start to see, am I going to agree with you or not?
Yeah, I always take, I played what we call devil's advocate. I try and see both sides, whether I like it or don't like it. So if I see people complaining about things, like even the Star Wars movie we were talking about, I agree with some of the points where, there's a part of me that, I kind of wished it was like this and like that.
Like what?
Well,
tell them what we're talking about. They don't know what we're talking about.
With Luke Skywalker.
You mean The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they wanted him to be like his old, happy, goody two-shoes self.
Save the world.
Right.
Yeah.
But I balance that out with, that's a more realistic version, and you and I said on another show and other things, that flawed heroes make the best heroes. I can relate better to a hero who is flawed than in Arnold Schwarzenegger just perfectly going through and doing everything, and he can tell you he's all tied up, and he can tell you in 5 minutes I'm gonna have your head bashed into that thing and a knife in your heart, and your feet are gonna be in your ass, and then like, oh yeah, how you gonna do that? And then and then he does it. Come on, it gets boring. I like it when it's a struggle to do it, but you pull it off anyway.
That's why I mean, if we're going to go back to superheroes from last week, superheroes that are godlike are, I think you were even talking about.
Yeah, the God mode.
It's not interesting. It's not interesting to watch. That's another complaint that I'd had about the early Avengers movies, is that they had these big sweeping action scenes where everybody was working perfectly together. Like, I throw this thing over my back, the back over my shoulder, and you catch it perfectly, and then swipe off the alien's head, and then you toss it off to somebody else. They catch it and block a bullet that was somehow magically coming towards them. It doesn't... That's not fun to watch. That, to me, seems so unrealistic, even though we're watching a movie about superheroes, that I tune out.
And I think that's why the Winter Soldier movies and the Captain America movies are in the top of all the Marvel movies.
They're based in reality.
Because, they're more realistic, and when people are... even though they're doing... things that only athletes can do.
Yeah, they're doing fantastical things, but it's still based in reality.
Yeah, because that guy has a metal arm, I can believe that he can do some of those things he's doing.
Right. So, I personally, and we were talking about it the other day, and I remember saying, I can't even think of a movie that I hate. Like, hate is a very strong word. Hate is a very strong word for me. Like, I don't hate people. I hate moments in time. Like, I hate when that happens. But I don't hate people. I don't hate things. I don't... Like, there are things that I don't like, but to use the word hate is so extreme to me. I can't even think of a movie that I hate.
But there's... I think your version of what other people would call I hate this movie, your version is I would tell everyone not to watch it, or I wouldn't recommend anyone see this.
I mean, I don't mind saying a movie's stupid. The movie's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It was dumb. But they got their money out of me, so it's not that dumb, I guess. You know, that sort of thing. Even though I have Movie Pass and I'm really not paying for any movies. So then the joke's on them again. But
I know a movie I hate. And I think that you like this movie a lot. I hate Moulin Rouge. I cannot make it through more than 15 minutes of it. I've tried 3 times to force myself to sit and watch it. And I can't. It's just... It freaks me out. Like, what are they doing? Why are they dressed that way? And it just, everything...
Do me a
it's
favor.
like my nightmare come to life.
Do me a favor and say, I hate Moulin Rouge again.
I hate Moulin Rouge. I hate it.
Why does that make me laugh so hard?
I don't know. But it disturbs me the same way Rocky Horror Picture Show disturbs me. And I don't understand why. I can see that people might enjoy it because Susan Sarandon is hot in that movie.
Yeah.
In fact, she's one of the reasons I could make it.
Not that we're objectifying women or anything.
But it's just... I don't... Ugh. It makes my skin crawl.
Moulin Rouge is a musical. Like,
I know.
It's a jukebox musical because jukebox musicals are the ones where they're using popular songs to tell a story. It's not original music,
right?
But what's freaky about it? It's just a bunch of what's the word? Not beatniks. Oh my god! What's the artistic? The person who lives a life of art. I can't think of the word.
Artiste? I don't know.
I'm googling it. Tell me what freaks you out about it.
Just the whole world, the colors, the costume. Mostly, it's like when they're in. It's the way everyone looks. Everyone looks like scary clowns, and I had nightmares of clowns attacking me when I was a kid. And so, see everyone with all the hair. Even guys have makeup on in it, and it's just weird. I mean, I love everyone on the planet. You know, it's just something's disturbed me. And just that movie, the costumes, everything, the way people act. Like what's that guy's name? I can't remember his name.
Ewan McGregor?
No, he's I can't.
Is he the leader of the Moulin Rouge? Jim Broadbent?
No, the only movie I could think of that he was in, the movie with John Wick, the guy that was hacking up the cars, Leguizamo.
Oh, John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo's character was just disturbing to me too. It's just the way everyone's acting, the way they look, the way they're dressed.
You're a really short person. You should be cool with the carnival people.
Okay, I'm more comfortable with carnival people than I am with the Moulin Rouge people.
All right, so you hated Moulin Rouge, but you can tell me why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't just
tell me why. But you don't walk around saying you hate everything. You have a movie that you don't like. That's okay. It's okay not to like a movie.
Yeah, I try hard to like a movie, especially if you tell me it's good and I've already decided that I know I'm not going to like it. I will still watch it anyway because sometimes your preconceptions are wrong.
But you didn't try very hard to watch
Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
How is it? Now, would you say you hated that movie?
Because didn't
first
hate
of all,
it.
you didn't watch the whole thing, so you don't know if you liked it or not. But
yeah. So this is where we differ, where we don't hate movies and we're not critic. I will admit and say that it is a really good movie. I think the problem I had with it is me, because I have I'm very logical. So if a movie starts trying to play with my emotions, but how they do it isn't logical to me. And I'm running real world scenarios in my head. Well, if that was true, then wouldn't you be doing this? And wouldn't you have that? And if you had all that time to figure out how to solve that problem, then why all of a sudden is this happening? And you're like, oh, what do we do? You know. So that's why that movie.
That's just like, to quote the dude, that's just like your opinion, man.
Exactly. So I'm not going to say that it's a bad movie. I know it's a good movie.
I think you're the only person who I've talked to from everyone on the planet who didn't like that movie.
I just didn't understand they had 9 months to soundproof a room or find another place that was underground or a recording studio, something. They
recording studio? What are they going to do? Make an album?
I'm just saying.
Break out the mandolin?
You cannot quiet a baby. So 9 months to figure out a long-term solution to
kill the baby.
That if your family, if the baby's going to risk your family's survival in that situation where they didn't have a place to go and you can't quiet the baby and your family's going to die, okay, abortion might be on the table. Jam a hanger up in there. I'm exaggerating. I'm just saying it. How did they let?
I mean, the only error in judgment I saw in that movie was getting pregnant again in the first place.
Okay, but then also
once they had to solve the problem.
So there's a waterfall that makes a lot of noise, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, why don't they camp out there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, live there at least for a long term. If they were by the waterfall, the baby could cry and they could take care of it. So it's just all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just it just bugged me so much I couldn't enjoy the movie.
Yeah, so you left.
So I left.
Yeah. You're the sort of person that hangs up on somebody.
Moulin Rouge was the only other movie I walked out of.
I've walked out of one movie once, and the person I was with, who eventually became my ex-wife, wasn't feeling well or something, but at the same time, I was not loving the movie at all. It was The Happening.
Dude, you should walk out of that. That is a terrible movie. We don't hate it.
We don't hate it.
It's just bad.
It's just bad. We don't hate it. It's just bad.
It should be called Nothing's Happening. Or Not Happening.
Or Why Is This Happening?
Yeah.
Because the last thing I remember is they were running from the wind.
That's the movie.
They're running from the wind, and I'm like, what the fuck?
The wind hates me.
First of all, how do you run from the wind?
You don't.
You don't run from the wind. The wind isn't slower than you.
Yeah, how do you create suspense with wind?
All right. So we don't hate it, but it's a bad movie. Well, part of the problem is that we're filmmakers, so we're terrible critics anyway. Because I want to like the movie. I want to like the movie, even bad even movies that I know. Like
The Room. We knew that was going to be bad.
Yeah.
But we watched it anyway because there was the book and we were going to go see the movie.
Yeah.
And we had a good time making fun of it.
Yes. And that is the first time I've ever enjoyed watching a movie because it's bad.
Yeah.
I don't like to see bad movies. I don't watch Sharknado. I don't look for the top 10 list of movies that are so bad they're good because I don't believe there's such a thing. I don't believe a movie is so bad that it's good. Even The Room is not so bad that it's good.
But it's fun.
It was fun to watch and make jokes about and blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't so bad that it's good. It was just so bad that it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was stupid and all that stuff. And it was a train wreck. A train wreck of ego. Is what it is. The guy just wouldn't listen. But we are filmmakers, so when I see a movie, I want to be happy for that filmmaker. I want to be happy for those writers and the actors and all the people that made that movie, the crew people that worked so hard on it. Because maybe they know it's a bad movie they're making at the same time, but a lot of work, man hours, goes into making a movie, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. A lot of people put their heart and soul into it, even if it ended up with something not so great.
A quote that I heard a long time ago that helped me helped seat this opinion in my is Isaac Asimov, the guy who wrote I, Robot, and I think dozens of other books. I think he wrote something like 300 books in his time. I might be wrong about that number, but he was prolific. He said it takes as much time, energy, and effort to write a bad book as it does to write a good book. So he was like, I love all my books because I know how hard I worked on them.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how I feel about our movies, the ones that aren't great. By the way, we're making great movies now, just so the audience knows. But way back in the day when we made shitty movies, not anymore, of course.
We're making the best movies that we've ever made currently.
Right, which, by the way, still is a get-out-of-jail-free card. Because in 20 years, I was like, oh, my God. Yeah. So that was just a joke, really. But even the movies that we just finished a feature film called Really Pathetic and Totally Awkward. We know the movie is flawed. It has its issues because we know what we went through to make it, which we made it for nothing with the money in our back pockets. A bunch of friends and crew people. We worked with professionals, but it was all in a labor of love. So the movie definitely has its hiccups.
Yeah.
But we're proud of the work we did because we wrote it. We struggled to get it made.
We can still watch it and laugh at it.
Yeah.
On certain parts every time because it genuinely worked out. Those parts worked out, came off well, and it what do you call it? It hits our funny bone.
Yeah.
We made a movie that we wanted to see.
Yeah.
Because we don't see the kinds of movies that we wish were being made.
And, when we watch it with an audience, they laugh too. And
that was
a great feeling. That was a great feeling to know that we weren't the only two people that thought it was funny. But, so, anyway, we are a bad judge of what makes a movie good or bad or whatever. Like I said, I want to like a movie when I go in there to see it, even if I think it's going to be bad. I still have high hopes. I still, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I don't think the Han Solo movie is going to be good. But in the back of my mind, I'm going, but maybe it will be. I'm going to go see it anyway.
Please let it be.
Please let it be. Don't ruin. But I just think that there's the internet culture, and we talked about this a little bit before. The internet culture gives people permission to be terrible people. With no consequences. With no consequences. The situation of anonymity, where if I don't know you, we're just avatars to each other. I can just be a dick. Okay, so I know people that think it's just to hate on something. Makes them thinks it makes them sound smart,
or makes them popular or something because people laugh at it, or
because people will gravitate to that and say, oh, they're telling it how it is. You're not telling it how it is. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
And you're not very intelligent, and you don't sound intelligent or smart. By the way, that's the movieism of this episode. Ask me, am I wrong?
Am I wrong?
No, Walter, you're not wrong. You're an asshole. That's Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
We need to fit in... I've got one for the next show.
Yeah.
Can we do more than one?
We can do more than one.
How about, okay, so that happened.
Is that from a movie?
Yeah. Alec Baldwin. Was it State and Maine? Where they went to a small town to make a movie about a windmill or something.
Yeah, and they were in the car accident. He hopped out and goes,
the car flipped
upside.
Yeah, they come out of an upside down car and Alec Baldwin's like, so that happened. And people have been saying it ever since.
Anyway, so I think all we're saying is, I personally don't think it's cool to hate things, to hate on everything. I don't think it makes you sound intelligent. It makes you sound like you just are impossible to please, so why would I bother? But this podcast, for me, is about the love of movies. Even the bad ones, we talked about The Room for a minute, we can still laugh about it. because of the experience we had while watching it, not necessarily because it was a brilliant work of art.
By the way, that was a movie that if either one of us watched by ourselves would have been torture.
I wouldn't have watched it. You were the one that made me sit down and watch it. I knew I wanted to watch it because The Disaster Artist was coming out. But
and we read the book.
I would not have watched it by myself.
Right, but watching it together, it made it a blast because we could just make fun of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so that's our conversation on hate. Just do us all a favor. If you don't like something, tell me why, and try not to instantly go towards vitriol. It's like it's not healthy. And if I can give a little life advice, namaste, motherfucker. It's just not. It's just not cool to, and it doesn't really help anything. If you don't like something, I want to know your opinion why. My teenagers at school, like I teach high school television production, they want, I make them write movie reviews every now and then, or a review on something. I just say, write me a review on something, and don't just tell me why you liked it or why you didn't like it. Don't just tell me
what's good and what's bad.
Don't tell me why that you liked it or didn't like it. Tell me why. I want to know why. How did you feel when you watched it? Because that's what's going to convince someone to see it or not.
I feel like if you're going to criticize, at the very least you could do is make it constructive.
Yeah.
And there's a saying I've heard: don't hate the person, hate the behavior.
Yeah.
So if there's one or two parts of a show or a movie that you don't like, say it's pretty good except for these parts, or I liked it, or it was okay, but these parts bothered me. Let them know. That way, maybe they weren't aware of it and they could change it.
Have you heard the narcissistic version of that? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Oh, yeah, that's the opposite of what I. Well, no.
No, don't hate the player, hate the game.
But that's not. But you're hating the whole game. Don't hate the part of the game that you don't like. You know what I mean? Hate the rule.
What was this?
Don't hate the player. Don't hate the game. Hate the rule.
This is like a video loop. It's going back. It's like a mirror reflecting itself into a mirror. You know.
Well, like you can love football but hate some of the rules. You know what I mean?
I don't like any of football.
I don't like sports.
I like golf. Because I'm a boring old white guy, but I like golf. But I don't watch a lot of sports.
I like women's gymnastics. It's a great sport.
No, they're like 14-year-old girls.
Oh, you ruined it.
You ruined it.
I'm a bird! On this episode, Brad's a bird.
So what else we were going to talk about is we were going to give some online streaming recommendations.
Oh.
Brad had a movie that he saw on Netflix that I haven't seen yet that he wanted to tell us about.
I recommend, whether you like horror movies or not, because it's not really a horror movie, Before I Wake on Netflix.
Who's I? Who's in it?
It's a kid and a woman and a man.
Let me guess, you don't know any of the details.
I don't.
I'm going to Google this while you're
talking.
Well,
Google it while I talk.
Yeah.
The kid is an unknown. I believe.
Unknown to you or to everybody else?
The female lead is a known actress, and the guy is unknown. So you'll come out with the names. But here's the deal: there are some horror elements, some scary, but it's more of a fantasy drama. And it's about a kid whose dreams manifest themselves in reality. So that means good and bad. If he's having a good dream, then you're having a good time. But if he has the recurring nightmare dream, then you've got problems.
But what's good about it? Is it a creepy, or is it just interesting ideas?
It was a great idea. It's sort of like if you're into the Marvel universe, it's sort of like a side story of if a kid had some kind of power that his subconscious can manifest in reality, what would that be like? How would the parents deal with it? Mm-hmm. So it's really good, and the ending isn't a typical ending. Like I said, it's more of a fantasy drama with some scary parts to it. It's really good.
So these unknown actors you say are in it.
It could be a thriller too.
Are Kate Bosworth, Thomas Jane and Jacob Tremblay, who was the kid.
Yeah.
But he's not an unknown. He was the kid in the movie Room.
Room?
Remember the movie Room?
I still haven't seen... I've been trying to find it on demand.
It's directed by Mike Flanagan, who directed Oculus, Hush, Absentia, Ouija, the original Ouija.
So he's good at coming up with...
little horror movies.
Well, I would say different... what do you call it? Different ways. Like Oculus wasn't a typical... It was a different way, different mechanics.
Oh, it was a twist on a thing.
Sort of. It's just creative ways of doing it. Kind of like a video game has game mechanics and a game engine. I think that horror movies have a story engine or a horror movie engine. You got to come up with the rules. What are the rules of this universe? What is this thing? How does it work? What can it do and can it not do? And how do the people fight it? But so this is less of a horror movie. It's like 60% fantasy drama with some 40% scary stuff.
Anytime, I don't know if this movie had an independent release or not, but anytime I hear about a movie that came straight to Netflix, sometimes I get worried because of things like Cloverfield 3.
See, that's a movie that we quote, I'm doing air quotes,
quote
unquote, don't hate, but we tell everyone, don't watch it.
Yeah.
It is bad, and it ruins the whole Cloverfield universe.
Yeah, man. Like, they first of all, I love the original movie.
The second movie was...
The second movie was possibly better, even though less happened in it. It's just people in a room.
But it was...
That's what I like about it so much.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, incredible, brilliant, suspenseful, intense, and it's just 3 people in a room. And then the last 15 minutes with aliens.
Yeah.
But then this movie comes out, and it is like the old straight-to-TV movies. Like old TV movies or straight-to-video movies. And that's what it was.
Yeah, by the way, that's one of those movies where the logic, like halfway through, it works. It makes sense. And then nothing makes sense anymore, and it seems like they just started writing things that seemed like cool ideas. Here, this would be a cool idea if this happened. Oh, but then what if there was no logic behind it?
Well, my recommendation for this time is, and I'll probably talk about this a lot, is called Filmstruck. Have I told you about Filmstruck?
This is not a movie recommendation.
It's a streaming service that I'm recommending. So one of the gaps in my movie repertoire of things that I've seen, I have a giant gap in movies like classic old Hollywood movies. And it's not that I don't like them, but I started consuming movies like ravenously in the 90s when I just started watching everything. And I always did as a kid too. But once I turned 18 and I had a job and I could go rent my own movies, I could check out rated R movies if I wanted to and stuff like that without any real consequence or anything like that. That's when I started like devouring everything at my video store. So I started with like 80s, 90s, and I saw some classics, but I haven't worked my way back very much at all. Of course, I've seen movies like Citizen Kane and Casablanca, and I've seen those, and I've seen a lot.
Citizen Kane, everyone should see that movie.
But Filmstruck is like the Netflix for classic movies. They even have a Criterion collection in the service.
Criterion Collection is...
Criterion is the service they used to make Laserdiscs, and then they DVD, and now Blu-rays. But they make collections of like... basically, it's auteurs. So
it seems to me that they seem to all be offbeat, odd movies that aren't necessarily popular, but they think, like you said, artistic, or they're good for their own...
Well, not
reasons.
Autistic, auteurs.
I said artistic, not autistic.
Right, like directors. Like they have like a real thing on directors.
Yeah.
So I got an email today from Filmstruck. I've only had this for a couple of weeks, but Filmstruck is you can get it free for... Not free. There's a 2-week trial, like 14-day trial, where you can free sign up. You can watch anything in their service, and they have collections. So this week's director of the week is David Lean, and David Lean directed Lawrence of Arabia, that 4-hour movie about the desert.
That's one of your favorite movies?
That's one of the. When I was 12, I did not know movies used to be more than 2 hours long, and I heard about Lawrence of Arabia at 12. Okay. And I started talking to my mom and dad, and it had been remastered and re-released in theaters for a limited, thing.
Yeah.
I convinced my parents to take me because I just wanted to see what a 4-hour movie looked like, and I loved it. Lawrence of Arabia came out in 1962. But so they have the director of the week, and David Lean has made some of the most big, epic, famous, old classic movies. This guy made real movies with real big film cinema cameras.
Yeah. Real danger.
Out in the fucking desert, like in the middle of nowhere, calling action. Okay?
Yeah.
So Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, The Bridge on the River Kwai, and movies like that in the David Lean collection, that's just pretty much up there for a week. So pretty much every week they're adding stuff. The one thing that I'm watching now, and I keep starting it, keep having to turn it, stop it, because I keep getting interrupted. But I've never seen Stagecoach, the classic, like I think it's 1937 or something, like Western that started America's love and obsession with Westerns, and for John Wayne and all that stuff. So they've got stuff like that, and they have foreign films that I'd never seen before, and they have First of all, there are 16 Akira Kurosawa films on there.
I've only seen
and
3 or 4.
I realized at one point about a month ago that I've only seen about 5 or 6 Kurosawa films, and the guy is the greatest director to ever live, and I'm a filmmaker, and I've only seen 5 of his movies.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to seeing them, and I'm just want to rewatch the ones I've already seen too, because they are unbelievably beautiful films to look at.
You should make it your job to tell us the top 5 or top 10 Kurosawa movies.
Top 5.
But
I'll work on that.
I have a theory that only about 6 or 7 are going to be really good, and the rest are going to be.
He made something like 40 films in his career.
Yeah.
And so they're, like with somebody who's prolific like that, it's not like not every Woody Allen movie is great.
No.
But he makes so many movies that every few years he's got a good one,
Despite his behavior and who he is as a person in real life, was it Annie Hall?
Annie Hall's my favorite rom-com.
I'm not a person that typically likes old movies, but I will, if someone says it's good, I will check it out, give it a chance. Annie Hall is one of my favorite movies.
It is a great movie.
So good.
Weird characters. Weird comedy.
But what's great about it is it's one of the first movies to break the fourth wall. And I mean, it started. You've got to give a movie. That's why talking about why we don't hate movies, and don't use the word hate. We have to give movies credit. Like for example, you don't like horror movies and all of that stuff.
I like horror movies. I don't like cheap PG-13 horror movies.
Well,
I want a movie to really mess with
you don't like gore movies or whatever, horror movies that are horror just for horror's sake.
You mean I've never seen any of the 1980s slasher films?
So, yeah.
Yes.
But I told you have to see Saw because it's a low-budget indie movie, a movie that we would make, and the concept behind it was let's have everything happen in one room, and most of the terrible stuff happens off screen. It's mostly about how the acting and them talking about it and all of that. But I told you that you have to see it because it started it sort of created a new genre, or one of the first couple of movies that created what we call now a torture porn genre.
Yeah.
So I feel Annie Hall is another example of, whether you like it or not, it started this trend of, hey, guess what? You can break this rule and still be a good movie. You can break the fourth wall if you do it right. So anytime a movie breaks convention or creates a new genre, a subgenre, I feel like that in and of itself makes it a classic.
That movie was basically the birth of the romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Which basically ran its course at some point, and because everybody, which I think the romantic comedy the peak was When Harry Met Sally.
Right.
Which is my absolute favorite. It's in my top 5.
I think it's
When
most
Harry
people.
Met Sally is one of those movies that I saw when I was like, I don't know, 15 years old that made me want to be a writer. Like, when I saw that movie and the way people talked to each other in that movie, that's the way dialogue should sound to me for the rest of my life. That's what people should sound like. And same thing with Tarantino. Like, Tarantino's dialogue became very, it's almost musical and rhythmic in the way they talk to each other.
Yeah. And that's weird, because that kind of, if you include David Lynch in there, that's kind of your mindset when you write movies. It's like Tarantino dialogue with, what do you call it? When Harry Met Sally characters and dialogues are in there. But it's always in a David Lynch universe, sort of. Where it's...
I think I take that as a compliment.
Yeah. I think I just figured out, like, your inspiration or your,
Actually, there's a little more Lars von Trier in there.
Lars von Trier,
than you give me credit for. But, so that's my thing, is if you like movies, and if you like classic movies, I've only had the service for about a month now, so I don't know how frequently it changes, but from what I hear, every month they add new movies, and it's like they're not up there all the time, and it's owned by the people who own Turner Movie Classics, TMC. It's run by them. It's their streaming service for their movies. So some of the movies actually have some of the host intros that they would run if you were watching it on Turner Movie Classics.
Yeah.
So there's some interesting information that gets dropped on you when you're watching that stuff. Anyway, so far I've really loved it. You can go through and make a watch list just like you do on Netflix and all that stuff. And it's just classic movie stuff. And I'm really looking forward to the summer when I can sit through and start digging through some of those movies that I've never seen before, and even rewatch some movies that.
How much does it cost?
$10, just another Netflix.
I might try it one month,
Yeah.
or I might use your password.
Well, you
and
live
check it
here,
out.
so it's not even like stealing my account. You just got to put it on your.
On that, you can't put it on a.
So it works on the 4th generation Apple TV.
Okay.
It works on all iPads.
Is
and
that
all
why you
stuff.
want to get a 4th generation Apple
But
TV?
it also works on your Amazon Fire Stick.
Oh, okay.
That's how I'm watching it now. 'Cause
okay.
I have a Fire Stick too.
That's cool to know.
Yeah. So that's that for that. But anything else this afternoon while I was out on my run, I was listening to an interview with the Russo brothers who directed the Avengers, Infinity War, and they made, of course, Civil War and Captain America, Winter Soldier. It was an interesting. If you've seen that movie, and you would like to hear them talk a little bit about their thinking on how they made it and where their head is on the stuff, is a nice little 40-minute interview on the Playback podcast. It's a Variety. It's run by Variety, and the guy's name is Christopher. Hold on. It's Christopher. No, it's not. I'm not going to edit. We're just gonna let it be. Let it be. But it's Christopher Tapley. That's his name, Christopher Tapley. So search for Playback on, which is weird because we made a movie at one point called Playback. Playback, and he interviews in that show weekly. They do filmmakers, but also actors and writers and people who have movies out right at that time. It's an interesting interview, and it's timely because it's them talking about the movie that we just saw and loved. And that's it. We're going to go see Tully tonight. Hope that's not...
Maybe, yeah. Hopefully it's good, but we'll... I think we talked about maybe we'll do a live stream at some point.
We'll see. Maybe we'll start doing that.
Do a little live stream review just to promote the Movieisms page and show.
We actually tonight, we started it today before we recorded. We're gonna do like little 10 or 12 minute like pre-show warm-ups. But
you went live to your page, not the Movieisms, right?
Right, I went live to my page, not the Movieisms.
But we need to specifically do Movieisms.
I went live to my Instagram as well.
Right.
Just to try to get some people to talk to and interact with a little bit before we go live and see what they like to hear us talk about and things like that. Anyway, if you're interested, follow me on Facebook. Brad is... I'm at Beckemeyer.
On Instagram and Twitter.
And everywhere, yeah.
And I'm at Balding Ewok.
Are you Balding Ewok on Facebook too?
No, that's Bradley Kingston. Bradley with an Ly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. If you are enjoying this podcast, could you please do us a favor and go to the iTunes store and give us a 5-star review? I don't like asking for reviews, but it is the only way, it's one of the only ways you can actually become visible in the iTunes store, especially for a new podcast. It really helps if we could start getting some reviews, because otherwise we just sort of, there's thousands, millions, hundreds of thousands of podcasts in there, and it's just, we just sort of slip in between all this stuff. All the other ones.
And if you want to give us, say, a bunch of negative stuff, make it a 5-star anyway. That way we'll definitely look and feel offended at the same time. It'll be ironic.
You don't even have to type a review.
I give it 5-star for how much you should hate it.
Yeah, you don't even have to type a review. Just tap the 5 stars.
But I'm glad they did that, because I haven't, for so many years, I would never do a review, because every time I would make it an attempt, I'd get 2 windows in and realize I'd have to go 3 or 4 more windows deep and then sign in and do all of this, and then I'm like, no, I'm not signing in.
Honestly, we really love hearing from people. You can email us at movieisms@gmail.com. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, or Balding Ewok over here, and
come
talk
to
us about
the Movieisms Facebook. That's
Facebook. We're trying to be pretty active there, commenting, talking with people there.
Yeah, I'm posting movie-related stuff. I'm trying to be funny or interesting.
It's not working. Well, funny, I don't know about that, but you're also posting 2-year-old old news.
I won't do it anymore. And Soylent Green is made of people.
All right. Well, that's it. We'll talk to you next time, and until then, we will see you at the movies.
The end!
Movieisms is a production of Super Mega Ultra Entertainment and is produced by Michael Beckemeyer and Bradley Kingston. If you'd like to find out more, follow us on Twitter or Instagram. And make sure you click like on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/movieisms. If you're enjoying this podcast, please take a moment and give us a 5-star review in iTunes. It only takes a minute, and it helps us out more than you can imagine. Thank you very much, and until next time, we'll see you at the movies.